yeah, it really affects your self-esteem, which was a tough time.
Yeah,
you know.
Practical tips on how to handle our finances in marriage. And the next thing we have to establish is what's our purpose? What's our purpose as a married couple? And that'll help us know how we manage and steward the finances that we have. So we have to... Hi guys!
Hey!
Welcome to my channel, and today's video we're going to do something a little bit different. So we're going to answer some questions we've been getting about marriage and parenting. So we thought we'd do a little kind of marriage series to answer those questions. So this title is about marriage and finances, which I feel like we've got asked quite a few times. So we're going to answer a few questions, as many as we can. And this video, I guess, is going to focus more for newlyweds, because we've been married now for 4 years.
So we're still newlyweds?
I think, yeah, we're technically still newlyweds, because in your fourth, it's 4 years for a newlywed, so
we're like seniors.
Senior newlyweds.
It's like advice for, the freshers, just getting married or working towards marriage.
Yeah, we're just going to share with you, I guess, our experience, our story with finances, because let's be real, finances, there's quite a few things that affect marriage, and communication, sex.
The classics.
And finances, which can have a very big impact on marriage. And we already are very aware of the fact that things like divorce are on the increase, and I think it's we're going to share with you things that have helped us, and hopefully it can encourage a lot of you guys, especially in that early stage of marriage. So we're going to talk, I guess, about our story, our experiences with finances, what we've been through, and to get us to where we are now, where we're 3 kids, 3 preschoolers, we own our own house, thanks to God, and we're I feel like we're in a comfortable place.
So first thing, which is obviously quite important, is attitude towards money. Which is massive. It's just one of those things that you need to establish coming in, something that we didn't do. So when that started coming out, it was like, wow, who's this person? Who's this person I married, sort of thing. And even in yourself, you'd be like, I didn't know I would react like this. So it adds that kind of predictability to it when situations come up. So it's very important to establish the attitude towards money. It gets your spouse, your fiance kind of ready. They understand you a bit better. There's the right attitude towards money, and there's the wrong attitude towards money. And the Bible teaches a lot about what our attitudes towards money should be, where our heart should be, with regards to giving, spending, all those kind of things. So I mean, that is very important. And obviously, like, there's a classic, the saver versus the spender.
He's kidding. I am the saver, and Sam is the big spender.
Just where's the money at? Where's the money at?
What we're doing now is share with you a little bit of our history and a little story time to back in our earlier days of marriage, and how finances affected us in a pretty big way. And I hope this can enlighten you and hopefully encourage you guys as well.
So obviously financial hardships will hit most couples, and when it does hit, if you're not prepared, the effects will be a lot more magnified. Because, for example, with attitude towards money, when we had that difficult kind of stretch, how did that make you feel towards me? And it really wasn't fun at times. Remember, we
just had the twins. By the time we were approaching our first year of marriage, I was pretty much about 38 weeks pregnant with twins. So the twins came term, so it was really quite a fun but stressful first year of marriage, because
full on.
We had a pretty intense pregnancy, and then we had these 2 wonderful children to take care of, which come with their own financial needs as well. And I think it's always good to remember, kids, it costs a lot of money to raise kids, and it costs a lot of money to raise 2 kids. It's a really weird season. It was just about the first month, and things just started happening.
It's just creeping up on you. It's never like, boom, everything's too expensive. It just creeps up on you slowly and slowly, and like all of a sudden the heating bills would just be
went through the roof.
Yeah, just
it was a really
bigger.
tough season. The heating
Yeah.
bills went through the roof. I think we'd been underpaying or something
Yeah.
for a few months and
Exactly.
we didn't know.
Yeah.
And then we just got this massive letter from the energy company saying, okay, we've undercharged you, so we now want to increase your monthly payments by this much. And we were like,
Yeah.
whoa, I was not ready for that. And then at the same time we were renting, and then the landlord wanted to increase the
Yeah,
rent.
or landlords. The rent is always going like this. Don't get me started on car trouble. Airbag warning sensors to get to a garage, £300. This, another garage, £500.
Yeah.
So,
And then his motorbike,
Hmm.
which, you know, yeah, to be honest, I want him to get rid of that motorbike, but he wouldn't. So that's
we're working on that.
We're working on the motorbike. But yeah,
I'm seeing someone about that.
that ended up having a ton of problems. You end up, I feel like you were literally at the mechanic every week, and they were just taking money each time for
Yeah.
the motorbike issues, and you know, just even having twins at the same time, diapers add up. Food adds up. By the time we were weaning the twins, they were eating. I feel like they were eating more than us.
But I mean, the thing is that when we were in that season, because our attitude towards money were, I wouldn't say the best, and also because we didn't really know each other's attitude towards money, the money kind of revealed, you know, these flaws. Obviously, I say marriage doesn't cause problems; it reveals problems, and finance is one of the biggest kind of issues that really reveal flaws and cause conflicts. And you know,
We fought.
yeah, basically.
Basically.
I guess for me, I felt challenged. You know, she would start to like micromanage everything because she's the saver, the penny pincher. Why'd you get that bran flakes that was $1.79 when you could got the other one that was $1.77? That kind of thing. And also,
I feel like I started blaming a lot of the
Yeah.
finance on you when we started going through the bills and stuff. I'll be like, oh, it's because you spent this much on this trip, or you bought this part. You know, the motorbike, which I agreed to be happy with, started becoming my bone of
unofficially,
contention. I started saying,
Yeah.
no, it's because you're spending too much on the motorbike. You know, I basically just started blaming Sam for everything and just finding little things to nag him on. And we were already in a bad situation. By now, the letters were going from green to red.
ain't no amber in between.
There's
It's
not,
just
it's
like
just
final notice,
straight up
final
warning.
notice.
And it was just a very, very stressful time. And I know it revealed a lot of, you know, a lot of bad attitudes I had towards money, and we exchanged some words that weren't too great. And I think it's important to establish the genders can be different. I'm not saying everyone's like this, but for me, or for a lot of women, I feel that there's a lot of security attributed to money. So to be honest, I got a little bit scared. And for you, I guess, or
Yeah,
men,
it's more
it can be
like
a
self-esteem,
ego
kind of ego thing.
ego thing.
You know, and the problem was that kind of the things she would say would attack that area, so it'd be like magnified. And for me
would
as
nag
well,
him and complain
and
and-
I would kind of make assumptions, you know, as opposed to like communicating things to, you know, relieving
feel
her
like you'd be
fear and
feeding my
security.
fear, yeah.
Exactly. So the lack of communication, lack of security would make it even worse, and it was like a tit for tat kind of thing. And I think it just got to a point where we thought, you know, this is all kind of just too much. You know, like, where's the fun gone? Where's the love gone?
It finally made me realise that's probably the biggest reason why I hear finances causes divorce. And I never really thought about it till that time when we never really felt that way towards each other. Money can do that to you, and it can do that to you for a number of reasons. I think the main reason is because we have the wrong attitude towards money. So we shared that story hopefully to let you know that we definitely had our fair share of financial difficulty. So how do we get from there to where we are now? So we now have another child, and we felt pretty confident about having another child, and we're in a pretty good place financially. And it's not, I won't really say we're earning significantly more.
Not really.
We've just put principles in place and became very intentional about the way we manage our finances. It was a good thing to go through that in the end of the day, because it allowed God to reveal to us our heart towards money and expose a lot of things inside us that I guess we didn't know about when we first got married. So the two main things that we learned is our attitude, number one, was completely wrong towards money, and that's why we were fighting, because in my opinion we'd made an idol of it, to be honest.
Yeah, it was like, finance was this kind of statue in the house. You know, everything was about money. You know, is there enough money for this? Is there enough money for that? Can we do this? Oh, I don't have any money for that. You know, why does she want to spend this much? Man's eating Aldi cereal, but she still has to get her ASOS shopping, you know. So it was always like, money this, money that. You're constantly checking the accounts, and it wasn't a good place to be, you know.
It really wasn't.
And children can latch onto that. Parents are always talking about money. For us, it became an idol, and it wasn't good, you know. And you know, so that was bad. Thank God, God revealed that to us. And then we just like got that dude out of the house, swept him out, you know. So yeah.
Yes, number one was our attitude was completely wrong. So I revealed to you, I guess, what the more healthy and biblical standard of attitude towards money should be in the family. And then number two was we weren't prepared at all.
No,
we didn't know what we were
no.
doing. We just been coasting through life, I guess, up until that point. So when a financial storm did hit us, it just like swept us off our feet, because I feel, you know, let's be real, we just didn't have wisdom in the area of
No, we were just in love.
balancing finances. It was just like, oh, we need this, we'll buy it. We need that, we'll buy it. And so when the storm came and we didn't have money, it really
became a big
rocked
deal.
our world. It really became a very big deal for us, and we didn't know what to do. So we'll then share with you, you know, I guess more of the practical tips on how to manage your money. Okay, so the first thing I'll talk about is our attitude. So we had to change our attitude towards money, and we made sure we apologized to each other and realized fundamentally what is important to us. It's our faith, it's our family, and that is way more important than a piece of paper.
Building up heavenly treasure, you know, that doesn't diminish. It's so much more important than whatever you can afford, you know, in this life. So we kind of had a kingdom kind of mentality about it, you know, and the marriage is way more important. You know, even if you're just living on bread and water, just knowing that you have a solid marriage, you know, that's based on love, you know, and God is so much more important. You know?
The next thing we had to establish is what is our purpose as a married couple, and that help us know how we manage and steward the finances that we have. So we had to first speak to each other and realize the fact that, you know, I had certain values towards money, you had certain values. So, you know, before I said I was a saver and Sam was a spender. If I'd really described Sam, I probably would have been like, oh my gosh, he's actually just a spendthrift, he's irresponsible with money, he just spends it anyhow, gives it anyhow. And no, you would probably call me more like
boring. Penny pinching. Where's your pillow at? Get under that pillow. Oh yeah, there's all the change, you know, just stacking them one by one under the pillows, you know. My money ain't going nowhere, I'm just gonna keep it. Can't take it with you. Obviously it wasn't positive. You know,
it wasn't
that kind
a
of
positive
mentality.
attitude. There was quite a bitter mentality towards each other. So we had to change that attitude towards each other. So we started joking about it. So yes, Sam likes to spend, I like to save. So I kind of joked, said probably the family is a lot more fun because of Sam.
Yep, definitely. And you know, we're just safer and more secure because of you.
Thanks.
You know, so you just we turned it into like strength. We looked at it as strengths as opposed to weaknesses, and which was such a healthy spin on it.
Yeah.
You know, to look at it that way. So don't look at it as a negative, but think of it as a positive. And it won't help if we were both spenders or if we were both savers.
It's actually good to be different.
Yeah, and then it complements each other. So
that allows us to go from a place of, I guess, judging each other. So I went from judging Sam and his spending habits. He went from judging me and my saving habits to respecting each other. And I think it's the most important thing. You have to respect each other's attitude and each other's standpoint and value towards money. So that was the first thing. And then the next thing we did is pretty much, you know, we wanted to know, what is the Bible standard on how we manage our money? What is the Bible standard on our attitude towards wealth and finances? Because, you know, we know the worldly attitude, which is, you know, just make more money and buy more things and keeping up with the Joneses and who has the bigger house, who has the bigger car. And you know, you were just constantly, it's just a constant rat race, and we didn't want that. We didn't want to mirror that for our children. So the only place we knew where to go would be the Word, and, you know, seeking counsel from, I guess, other couples are the older couples, wiser couples who are doing things and we admire and learning from them as well. And two of the key verses that stuck out to me was, a divided house cannot stand. So there has to be unity in everything we do. We are one flesh in the way we manage our finances. I'm going to share about 5 key scriptures or, biblical standards we learn about money. So number 1 is about the fact that we have to be hard workers. We have to work hard. And again, these tips were important to us because it reminds us how we are meant to model to our children what standard and attitude we want them to have as well, because they're not gonna do what we say, they're gonna do what we do. So we have to make sure we're working hard and showing them if you work hard, then yes, you'll acquire money and wealth. And I think it's Proverbs which talks about, the lazy person is soon poor, but the hard worker becomes wealthy. I'll link it down below. But that was one of the scriptures that really spoke to us, and it kind of reminded me of the fact that, we don't get sucked into pyramid schemes or get rich quick schemes. It's just something that I'm very glad we just I'm not gonna be worried about Sam coming home with those crazy ideas, because we've established a standard that we know we have to, if we work hard, we'll achieve the target that we've set for ourselves.
And the Bible teaches that a diligent man will serve before kings, not mere men. So if you're diligent in your work, you, by God's grace, you get recognized.
The one we learn is about saving, and that's in the Bible as well, because the ant, again, I'll put these scriptures down below, but Proverbs talks about, the ant storing up food in the winter. So it's important for us to save. And the third one is about providing for your home, for your children, for your children's children. Was it Proverbs?
Yeah.
It's a lot of Proverbs.
The book of wisdom. The book of wisdom. A good man, leaves inheritance for his children's children. So that's like you provide for yourself, your children and their children, which just goes to an extra level. So
it kind of reminds us the importance of money, and also the importance of things like life insurance as well. The fourth principle we go by is not making money an idol, and that's a really big one. And there's quite a few passages that talk about that, like was it Timothy, the love of money.
Yeah,
the root of all evil.
Root of all evil.
Money isn't the root, but the love of it is the root of all evil, and the fact that you can't
serve two masters.
Yeah.
So there's just so much teaching in the Bible about money.
And the 5th principle we learn is the importance of giving, and the Bible has a ton of principles which talk about the importance of giving.
As the Bible teaches that give and it'll be given to you. You're more blessed to give than to receive. And when you're blessed to be in a position where you can give, it's like God has blessed you to be a blessing to others. It goes back to that purpose, and it's amazing to be able to give to church, give to charities, give to family, just to give to people who are in need, which is so important to us, and it's something that we didn't want to compromise, so that was very important.
Yeah, I think it's good you said that, because I remember even when we were going through that, sounds like I want to forget that season, but we learned so much from it when we went through that financial pit, I guess. One of the things we still kept up with is giving, and I have a lot of that to thank Sam for, because I know he says I say he's the spender, but he's also the giver, and I think doing
mostly spending, a bit of giving,
by encouraging us to still give it, and I feel that we were, without knowing it, even though we didn't have much, we were sowing seeds to get us to where we are now, and I genuinely believe that was probably one of the most important principles that we were doing without even really thinking about it. Those are the 5 key things we learned in terms of changing our overall attitude towards the way we see finances in our marriage. So we've just shared with you some of the tips we found helpful in changing our whole attitude towards money. Now we're going to share with you the practical tips, because remember when we went through that season, one of the things that I feel was the biggest problem we had is we didn't really understand finances. We didn't understand, practical tips on how to handle our finances in marriage. So we're going to share about 4 main tips. And I said this is just a summary. If you want more detail, then please let us know. So the number 1 tip is having vision and expectations for your finances in your marriage.
Yep. Short-term visions, long-term visions, and also understanding each other's expectations. It's really clear just to set those out because you're coming together as one, and for that process, you need to just clarify those things. What are your expectations? What are her expectations in terms of long term?
No presumptions.
Exactly, they're not useful at all whatsoever. What car, does she expect to be rolling in? The house you guys want to live in, where...
Remember, it's short term and long term.
Yeah.
So you have the short term where you're happy to settle in now, and maybe the vision, the goal of where you want in the future, something to aim for. But I think it's really, you're right, that's so important, because when we came together, I'll be honest, I had a vision of the kind of car, and this was one of the funny ones. I told Sam when we first got together, I really always had a dream I would be driving like a Range Rover. I do not know why. I just had this vision that that's what we were going to have when we got married. And
money don't grow on trees.
Sam was like, he had this vision of more of a family.
An A to B car. She knew about my flagship, the one that lost reverse gear, so we had to push. Which
I always used to call engine on the road.
Yeah.
It was a bad
so
car.
I don't know why she was expecting a Range Rover. But it's those sort of, but I kind of assumed she was fine with that, without actually discussing expectations. Which you can do it by yourself, but once you're in a relationship, that needs to be clear. So.
And with it, we made a compromise, because at the end of the day, he knows way more about cars than me. So even when I came to him with my proposition from a car, I just showed him a magazine of my dream car. He was like, how much are the tyres going to cost?
I know.
The insurance.
Yeah.
He really broke it down to me. And not in a way where he was, we were fighting. It's respectful. At the end of the day, we're always respecting each other's sides, but just making sure we're wise in our decisions. So yes, the Range Rover is still on the vision board, or as a long-term goal, but we've compromised on where we're happy, what we're happy to drive short term, and I'm very happy with where we are now in terms of what we've decided upon, and
just everything, holidays, just when you start a family, how soon do you want to start a family? When you do. Do you want to be exactly how many kids? You want to be shopping at like John Lewis for them clothes, or just anywhere? Exactly. The buggy, is it going to be like the Mother Care basic buggy, or is it going to be the
Bugaboo?
That stuff ain't cheap. The Stokies of this world. So those things need to be clear, because the enemy can just use these things to just sow terrible seeds in a marriage. So those things need to be clear. Expectations, your vision, it just needs to be so clear. Just write it down so you guys can understand it, and you can keep coming back to it, as just a direction for the ship.
Yeah, you're both looking in the same direction. I think it's the other reason why it's so important to write it down is, to be honest, sometimes I would come to Sam with an idea of something else. We really had a vision of the car we were going to get, or the house, or where we send our kids to school or something. And then all of a sudden I come with this crazy idea. I want to buy this kind of car. I know I keep coming back to cars, but I like cars. I say, I really want to buy this car. And he'd look at me and be like, where did you get that idea from? This was the original vision. And I'll be like, oh, that's what I agreed on. And then I realized it's because I'd either spoken to someone, trying to keep up with the Joneses. I've been scrolling on Instagram and seen something someone else had. And
the saver has become the spender.
But all that kind of stuff, you have to, we have to guard ourselves against social media. And that's probably a good thing that Sam's not really on social media. But I think that's why it's so important to have your expectations written down as well, so you don't let influences from the outside distract you and get you off your track. This is our household, this is what we've agreed on, this is where we're heading, and nothing is going to distract us off our track. And if it means having it written down to look at regularly, daily, and having meetings and family meetings where you go back to it and reflect on it, then that is so important, just so you don't get influence from other people. So when you go to your friend's house and she has the newest, the newest dishwasher, or she just had her floors done in her kitchen.
Find new friends.
You're not going to be jealous, and you're not going to be tempted when she's like, oh honey, we just tell your husband he can go and get it at this place, and then you go back home and start nagging your husband.
Or the best one, we're just doing up our kitchen, and then you get kitchen envy or house envy or something. But once you're focused, once you've got your vision, your goals, where you're going, you're great. You're kind of shielded. You're insulated against these things. So for us, that. So
really when someone says to you, "Oh, honey," when your friend says to you, "Oh, you should get a new kitchen. I got it from this place," you can go, "I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm happy where I am." And she'll be like, "Oh no, just speak to your husband. You can get it." And she doesn't know where you're going. She doesn't know what you're planning on building together. And if you just start spending money here and there, it's going to take you longer to get to that end destination, that goal you wanted to achieve. So it's so important to have a vision, so important to have it written down, a family vision, a family goal, so you just stay focused and stay in your own lane. Right?
The second point is budgeting, which is big, massive. There's so much out there on budgeting. We can make like 10 videos on budgeting, but we'll just like summarize
it.
Yeah, what works or what we've done, and it's really helped us. So I think the first thing was income versus expenses, and the expenses have to be prioritized into what you need, and then kind of like the luxuries and the wants, and you really have to have that nailed down. You have to know.
You have to be everything. Really put everything down. You wouldn't have no estimating expenses. It'll be a good idea to just get your last few statements for your electricity, for your gas, and usually that's good because you can get the annual statement from your providers to know how much you spend annually, so you have a good idea of how much you're going to use, and try and divide it up equally per month, so you don't get in our situation when you get a massive bill halfway through the year because you've been undercharged. But having an account, so we have a joint account which we use purely for bills, and everything goes in there. So we agree on a set amount that we both put into that account, and then
99%, 20%, maybe.
He's kidding. So we both agree on a set amount we put into that joint account, and this account is just for bills. So we're not going to use it for spending or anything like that. The only money that's going to be coming out of that account is all our electricity, our gas, the water, the council tax. So we make sure we know how much that is beforehand, so we're prepared. It's almost like when the bill comes, when the bill comes, people are like, "Oh, what are we going to do? Where are we going to find this money?" We're not worried because we know we've been putting money aside every single month into this account. It's like you're expecting it. It's not something obviously you want to get, but you're expecting that bill to come, and you have the funds ready set in place in this account where things will come out monthly. Everything from childcare as well to food to groceries, and everything goes in that account. Obviously a little bit of a float as well for where some things do vary a bit from month to month, but the majority are going to be fixed, like your mortgage. You know how much that is a month, you know how much your internet is per month. Then we have two separate accounts as well, so we have our personal accounts as well. So I know we say, and I keep on emphasizing, it's ours. So my money in my personal account is still our money. His money in his personal account is still our money. That's one thing I think people sometimes get confused about. In our opinion, when you are married, you become one flesh. It's always ours. That's so important. But having these separate accounts is important because it allows us, do things like, surprise each other. So it's important to have maybe just a separate account, but we know how much in each other's account. There's no secret accounts, guys.
There's something I have to tell you, baby. No. There's no secret accounts. I might have an account in Nigeria though, but
Western Union.
You ain't touching my naira. My money, my nest egg. No, but and you just budget everything. If you like them Starbucks muffins that cost like $20 a muffin, you need to budget all that stuff. Date nights, going to marriage conferences, sowing seeds, investing in the marriage.
I think it's important to set a budget for that as well. So we even have a budget per year for how much we put towards those kind of things, the date nights, the marriage retreats as well, like Sam said. So I think it's important to include that as well in your budget, because even though you're newlyweds, it's so important to keep that alive, to keep dating your husband, keep dating your spouse. So
the act of actual budgeting, the exercise of it, it's not just about this costs £2, this costs £5, this costs £3.
It's not maths budgeting. It's in my opinion, it isn't. It's about values. It's reminding you what do you value, and putting it on paper and being proactive. rather than, you know, being reactive later.
Yeah.
So I don't have to come home with my shopping and be like, you know, hiding it under the stairs before Sam gets back from work, because we've discussed it.
Yeah.
And I think that creates a healthy atmosphere in the home. So I want to be able to come home and be like, oh, I bought this, and not thinking my husband's going to be rolling his eyes.
Yeah, yeah. Or even like she bought me stuff, you know, and I'll be like, oh, why'd you buy me stuff? I don't need that stuff. Because we have it budgeted. I know she's not taking money out of the priorities to buy the luxuries. You know, we know where each other's values are.
Yeah.
You know, which is just really good and just really
and
refreshing.
respectful as well.
Yeah. So that for us in terms of budgeting is, you know, is what's really worked for us.
And there's a ton of websites I think people can use to be able to budget.
Yeah. Fancy spreadsheets, all that.
We just use Excel, and you can make up one yourself. So we just get an Excel program, and I have all the bank statements, and I literally just have a column of every single income that's coming in and single expense we have coming out each month. And then we make sure that we're prepared each month for the next one and have that money in place.
I know, and you're really good with that, love. You know, like what everything costs. You know, like the water bill, even if it's per month or per week or per quarter, she knows like what everything costs. You know, which is really good.
And obviously, like,
and obviously, so
when you've been burnt once, though, love. I think because we were burnt once, I've literally my radar's completely up. So
and it's always good if one person manages the budget.
Yeah.
Obviously, so that, you know, there's no clashes or, you know, paying for the same thing twice. Just everything's really clear.
I don't think two people can manage it. I think you just have to be realistic. Some people are scared to let their spouse manage the budget because they think they're not as good as they are. But I think if you get to that point where you can't agree, then the only thing I can say is pray about it, or maybe get a third party involved to ask them who they think.
And not a lawyer.
But for us, I think Sam agrees that I'm better at it, and I will manage it. I will micromanage it. I set it. I show it to my husband and make sure he agrees. It's very important that we both agree on it, but I'm going to be the one responsible. If we miss a payment, it's my fault, basically, because I've said this is my responsibility that I'm happy to take on. Number
3, savings and investing. That's also really important.
It's very important.
You know, you need to, well, I would say roughly like 3 to 6 months kind of salary saved up. I think that's just like a rule of thumb, you know, because
you never know what will happen. The first time I heard that, I was like, who can save like 3 to 6 months? I mean, we're working on that, but that's our target to aim to have at least 6 months salary
because
saved
money
up.
is just constantly coming out. You really have to be just so disciplined, you know, and once you've established like before where your vision is, you know, what your expectations are, where you're going, then it kind of gets a bit easier to know that you're putting money away towards these things, you know. So
because even in the budget, you still have a budget for savings as well. I forgot to mention that. So you still have all your income and expenses. One of the expenses going to come out is money going to a savings account, and that pot is so important because anything can happen. You just never know. Like when we faced that big financial crisis, one of the biggest problems is we had no savings. So when it all happened, we were just completely stuck, and that's when you end up
waiting for the next paycheck or the next salary,
or taking out loans, which opens up another can of issues.
Yeah, you really want to be in a place where you're not waiting for the next salary, you know, and that's just the mentality that we have now and where we're heading towards, you know, because when we had that issue and then like the car's gearbox is gone and it costs more to fix the gearbox than get a new car, it's like, okay, life goes on hold, wait for the next salary to try and, you know, flog this till we buy any car, you know, get some more money as well.
And you have kids as well.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
We had twins.
How do you get them around?
Yeah.
And if you live anywhere around London, you know ticket men are always on your case. You know, council's always trying to fine you.
Oh gosh, don't get me started.
Exactly. So, you know, things are going well. You think you're coasting along, and then these like unexpected expenses come up, and you're like, Lord, you know, if I wasn't born again, I'll be swearing up the place. So it's like that is just very important, and it's really helped us. You know, sometimes it's just a bitter pill to swallow when you have to pay these these things, but to know that you have
to have it there,
yeah,
it's just
you have it is
something less to stress and fight about.
yeah.
You know, I think the ticket one is so. I don't know if any of you have experienced
Oh,
tickets
man.
or fines. It's it's a tough one, or having your car clamped, and
Oh yeah,
those
I've
things just
done it all.
wipe you
Done it
out.
all.
They literally just wipe you out. So
They do.
having those savings,
Yeah.
I think, is just so crucial, and just part of wisdom in terms of managing your finances as a married couple.
And
newlywed.
Rome wasn't built in a day, so you just start saving step by step. It adds up. You know, when you get to a comfortable place, then you think of like investing. Obviously, we're not authorities on it, so speak to someone who's really
Advisor.
qualified. Yeah, just
And pray
ISAs,
about it as well, where you invest your money as
Yeah,
well. But
yeah,
I think it's
exactly.
good to, investment it's good to invest.
Obviously, the most important investment is, heavenly investment, investing in your marriage. Sowing seeds in your marriage, giving to church, giving to God. Which shouldn't be compromised. It shouldn't be like, let's cut down how much we're giving to church because we want to go on a holiday. She's the opposite. She'd be like, we're tightening our belts, and she'd be like, baby, I want to sow into a new ministry. I'll be like, what? Or I want to sow into this person's life. I'll be like, we're already giving, to church, we're already giving in this way. You can't just be like, I want to sow into this person's life, I want to sow into this person's ministry. Just be like sowing seeds everywhere. So, yeah, I had to like control that. Don't be sowing too many seeds now. But yeah, we just felt like that shouldn't be compromised.
Yeah.
I'll give. But yeah, saving step by step, it all builds up, and then getting into investing.
Yeah. I
Don't
think
wait for the next salary. Sorry.
Yeah, don't wait for the next salary, like you said. No, Karen.
Yeah, and then just try to aim for have 3 to 6 months salary saved. It just takes a lot of discipline, but we're working on that. We're by no means there yet, and we're kind of step by step we're getting there. So that's really good.
I was just going to say, one of the disciplines with the savings as well is make sure the account, you don't get a card for it. So you don't get tempted to, think, I have money, I can just use the card.
Contactless!
And secondly, maybe putting it in the kind of savings account where maybe you get penalised for getting withdrawals. Not crazy penalties, because obviously you need these savings possibly for a rainy day. But at least that can help discipline. If you feel like you lack discipline in that area, just putting up those kind of boundaries in place so you don't get tempted to go and take the money out prematurely for things that you don't really need.
Yeah.
And number 4 is being resourceful. I think it's so important, because that way you can save money as a married couple, and there's just so many ways to be resourceful. What would you...
I think for me, I'm really big on eBay. So like selling stuff on eBay, it's so easy to accumulate stuff over time. So just look through your house, look through your possessions, look for stuff that's in really good nick, even stuff that is not that great, but you can sell it. I just got like hooked on it. You just go around the house, you'd be like, baby, where's that? Sold that on eBay last week.
Yeah, he is probably getting a little bit too good at this, because I'll be looking for stuff and he'll be like, put it on eBay. But eBay's good, but I'm more of I don't know if anyone's, it's a UK website, Gumtree. That's like my thing. I really love Gumtree.
It's all about eBay sellers.
So much more than eBay.
Credibility. If it's got a box, if it's in good nick, package that baby up, sell it on eBay, make a bit of cheese. So yeah, that's big for me. Just go around the house, sell stuff. Don't acquire stuff, that you don't need.
There's stuff sitting there that is actually worth money, and especially with things like even kids' clothes, which they grow out of, unless you want, you can give it to charity or you can give it to family members. There's toys as well that we end up, sometimes the twins transition so quickly from one toy to the next, they don't even use that one. So we end up just being able to sell it.
Yeah.
What's
and
the other
these
side?
days it's so quick to sell it. It's so quick. So I don't think it's like stress. You're saying the other site, there's eBay, there's Gumtree.
There's eBay, Gumtree, and I don't know if it's Shipok or something. That's like a boot sale site as well. And again, you can build feedback and everything, so these people are credible. That's just some great sites to be able to, almost declutter your house if you want to do a house clearance.
The other thing with like being resourceful is switching. switching on utilities.
I never understand why people don't do this, because you can save so much money.
You are looking at the queen of switching. Like me back in the day, I was like a loyalty guy. I'm just like same T-Mobile number, T-Mobile customer for years and years and years. At home we were like British Gas, bang, that's it. Until I met her and she was like, switch from this person to that person. I think the O2 people must like hate you. When her number comes up in the call center, they'll be like,
what?
Oh, man, she's gonna threaten us again that she wants to switch to someone else. Or switching utility providers. There's so much competition out there. There's good deals. So I think that is very important. Negotiate with your providers on phone, broadband, even TV, Sky if you need cable or satellite.
Got a good deal on our Sky, didn't you?
Yeah. So, I at one point I was so scared she was switching. I'll be like, one day she might switch husband. She might switch me out. So I got you pregnant with 3 kids. So but yeah, that was really good. And it's another thing that people think is so much hassle. Like I can't be bothered to do that, but you can save
a
money.
ton by switching, so that's a good resourceful tip. There's also websites you can use like Top Cashback, I believe, .co.uk, which is very similar to I think the American version of eBay. So basically you can search for things there, and when you purchase them you get cash back. And any money we get back we can then put it towards our savings as well. So you see, we're constantly building up that little savings pot for other things we need to do as well. The other thing is travel. So we are very fortunate to be able to travel quite a few places with the twins. We haven't really traveled that much with Caleb, but we have got a few trips I'm trying to plan at the moment, good child-friendly holidays. And finally, one of the things that people love doing is travel, and we definitely love traveling, and we're very fortunate to travel quite a few places with the twins. We haven't traveled that much with Caleb yet, but the twins have been to quite a few countries already. And one thing I get asked by some people is like, how are we able to travel? I don't know if it means how do we physically travel or how we're able to afford it. Physically travel is a lot of prayer, especially with kids.
On planes.
It's not easy.
So many stories.
But in terms of traveling financially, it's just being very resourceful. Just before the twins, were they free up until 2 or something?
2, yeah.
Up until 2, the twins were still free. So we did a ton of traveling, and obviously they're not in school yet, so we're able to take advantage of cheaper rates when it's term time. And also just making sure that I'm constantly checking websites for the best deals. And another thing you could look into, I'm not advocating getting credit cards, but I'm definitely now see the benefit of them. As long as you feel that you're disciplined enough, you can get things like air miles with credit cards. We can all go towards getting flights, even free flights if you're fortunate enough. So these are all the things I use in order for us to be able to travel, because I love to travel. And another thing one of my friends told me, because she's probably like the queen of traveling, definitely learn from other people as well. We organised a group holiday, so that time we went to Tunisia, which was amazing. We ended up paying way less than we should have done because we all went as a big group. And when it comes to hotels and where you stay, things like Airbnb. Now I was really anti Airbnb before, because I was like, how can we just stay in someone's house? But we had the opportunity, was it last year, we went to Wales and we rented out the whole house.
Yeah, massive house.
And I was just in shock, because I thought we would have paid this much for a hotel, if not more, and we have a whole house to ourselves. And it was just a really great experience, and you end up saving so much more money than you would have done in a hotel. And then lastly, maybe try and build up loyalty with certain hotel groups. So there's Hiltons all over the world, so you could join a hotel group and sign up for their loyalty scheme, and with time you build up points, and then when you go abroad you even get free accommodation, because that's even the other expense where you're going to stay. So just trying to be as resourceful as possible is just going to ultimately help you save money and make your money go a lot further. As a couple, as a newlywed, it's important to spend time together, and not only traveling, but you can do staycations as well. So the same kind of attitude towards looking for great deals. And also when we go on date nights, I'm the kind of person, we plan our date nights, and I'm not really into surprise or restaurants, because I want to know where we're going, so I can go straight on the website and look for any coupon codes, or sign up and register for their website, maybe fill in a quick survey so I can get a discount code straight back before we head out. And then when we're about to pay, I'm like, boom, there's my discount. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this little sit down chilly chatty video on marriage and finances, and hope you found some of the tips useful.
Oh, hold on, we're not done yet. What about the challenge?
The challenge. Okay, sorry. Thanks for reminding me. It's just a little challenge that we've done as well. So what you could do is, what's that, piece of paper, isn't it? You write down on a piece of paper how much you feel that you would be happy spending without telling your spouse, and also on the same piece of paper you can write how much you feel that he can spend before consulting you. So what I mean is how much you feel comfortable your husband spending before he contacts you, and just write down the piece of paper and then exchange it. And I think it'll be quite interesting. Again, you know, it's important to get clarity on what each of your attitude is towards money. You know, no presumptions, actually find out beforehand so you can now become proactive about how you plan your finances. And yeah, so that was one challenge we did, and that was really good.
We definitely recommend that. Try that. I'm sure, you know, you'll find that really useful as well.
And let us know in the comments below whether you had similar amounts, or one if you put down like a lot more than the other person. It's quite interesting to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope you found this video helpful, and we shall see you in our next video. Bye guys.
Bye.